Good morning, y'all. This is Cody. Cody's Bait and Tackle, Warsaw, Missouri. I did a video the other day on how to rig up a slip cork for fishing down below the dam or fishing just about anywhere. I caught a limit of crappie on it out of the boat yesterday. I had some crappie that was around the boat dock. They were scattered out around it. You'd get up close. They was in shallow water. Them crappie would all tuck up underneath the boat slips. Couldn't hardly catch them if you got right up close on them. We caught them pretty good yesterday morning. Then they started spooking and huddling up underneath there. So I ended up setting back yesterday. Threw a slip cork up there, just crappie after crappie after crappie. You get the boat close, they was back gone again. They was pushing up underneath the back of that boat dock's what they was doing when we get up close with the trolling motor. The wind was horrible. My big Sea Arc, I have no boat control at all. So that did work out pretty good for us yesterday. Everybody wanted to see the knot I tied for my top hook. Jig head, if you're spider rigging, the same knot you tie spider rigging. This is the same knot I use catfishing. So I've actually got a catfishing sinker, 30-pound mono. I tie it in braid, mono, both. It doesn't matter. This knot will work. Some people call it a looper knot. I grew up, everybody called it an okie knot, or a double blood knot. I've heard it called all different kinds of names. I use this thing year-round catfishing. This is how I rig up all my rods. Sinker on the bottom, hook up about 2 foot from that. The only time I don't use that is if I'm fishing in under 5 foot of water in a really soft mud bottom. And then I'll rig up more with like a Santee Cooper rig with the floating my bait up out of that real soft mud. If it's a hard bottom, I'm shallow water fishing, I use this. I mean, it still works. Them catfish, they'll get the bait. And I've ran 3 rods one way, 3 rods another way. One don't get hit more than the other most of the time. So I'm going to try to turn this where you guys can see what I'm doing. Basically, I am grabbing that line underhand like that. This is your sinker line. It should be on your left side. This is the one going down towards the end. Your rod line should always be this one. It should be up on top on your right side. So basically what you're doing, you're making a loop and flipping it upside down. Then you're going to twist your top and your middle. And then you're going to pull your bottom line right through the middle. Should always come together just like that. If it doesn't, you probably didn't do it right. Get it wet, and it will help that cinch down right. Come together just like that. Now, if I'm catfishing, I'm going to show you guys. I got a Mustad Ultra Point. That's the catfishing hook I've kind of went to the last 4 or 5 years. They're really good about not getting hung up on brush and stuff. They've got a pretty good bent end tip there. I just run that. I probably done that too fast for you there while I was busy talking. Run that line right through the back of that hook. I twist that around there about 4 or 5 times. Cinch it right down. There you go. That's how I do my catfishing hooks. I've seen some people make this loop bigger, run it through and actually tie it. If you're running like a Kale hook or a hook you want to jerk on, you can actually tie that and then cut your pigtail off. Just tie it to the end of the hook there instead of going around the shank like I do. I like on my circle hooks, I do like having my line around the shank. Just seems to get a little bit better of a hookup. Now, I can't get a crappie hook through that, so I'm not going to try. I've got a little bit bigger swim bait hook. This is one of the jig heads I use hybrid fishing. Sometimes if I rig up a double rig for white bass, I tie the same knot, you know. And I've actually threw some big swim baits on it and caught some big hybrids on it while I was throwing for white bass. So, same deal. Run it right through. Flip that loop all the way around to where that line comes right back on itself, not around the jig head, and then just cinch it down. And I'll show you what this is going to do here. If you're retrieving back, this line's pretty springy, but good old Berkeley big game. Tough line, but it is pretty stiff. If you're winding, it puts your jig down below. Your other one would be down here where this weight is. So same way with the slip cork, as you're retrieving that slip cork real slow, that jig's going to be down there. Any movement you make is going to make a pretty good bounce on that jig head. And then your other jig head would be down here. Spider rigging, you got your weight down here. You would have your two jig heads. Some people tie them close together if they're fishing shallow water. Here lately I've been fishing some shallow stuff if I spider rig, which now my new boat I ain't got set up to spider rig, so I've just been single pole dipping or casting a slip cork. Basically that's what you got, is something like that with two jigs above it. Or if you're just double poling, I'm gonna grab my slip cork rig here real quick. Yesterday, some of you guys seen I had posted 2 crappie at the same time. Basically that was with this exact rig without the slip cork. You put your to double jig. A lot of guys live scoping just like one jig. I'm not live scoping. I'm just going trying to catch fish. So I run 2 jigs. A lot of time you'll catch 2 crappie if you're on a real good bite. Pretend them weights ain't there. Pretend the slip cork ain't there. You just got your bottom jig tied on normal. You got your top jig like that. You drop it down. You know, I was vertical dropping it, catching 2 fish at a time. Yesterday when it was sunny, Lake of the Ozarks, every fish I caught was off that slab buster in silver and red. I went back later in the day. It had clouded up. Every single fish I caught, this was only 2 colors I used. Every fish come off that June bug and chartreuse slab buster. When it was sunny out, that sparkle's what they wanted. When it got cloudy, they wanted that darker bait. That's what they could see. Just the way it goes sometimes. Whatever jig you got faith in, use. They're all good now. There's so many good jig makers out there. You know, there's no sense in saying this one's better, that one's better. I sell a whole big variety of them. I got Palmer's baits, slab busters, Bobby Garwins, Charlie Brewer sliders. I will say, if you're casting and retrieving, like down below the dam, without a slip cork, the sliders work really well. On a slip cork, they don't do much. And paddle tails, the baits with paddle tails, curly tails, that's not something you'll want to use on a slip cork. I've had people ask over the years, just use something with a straight tail, something that when you give it a twitch, it's going to have a pretty good vibration to it. Them crappie pick up on them vibrations. Hair jigs. I've even ran hair jigs on a slip cork. I've got several of them in here, pretty good variety of them. Another one that I've used a lot of swarm jigs. They got the little ball on the end. They're kind of the same deal. That ball weights down, and you know, when you twitch it, it kind of does that. They work really well. I haven't used any of the Palmers on a slip cork, but I know they'd work. They're real good baits. David Townsend's just another crappie bait company. Them will work really well. I haven't done a lot of slip cork fishing, so I haven't tried a lot of them new baits. I'm kind of go right back to what I grew up fishing with. So the slab busters, slab hunters that I used to make in my old bait shop, they're basically exactly the same jig, same styles. I always liked that style. Real thin tail, lots of action. Same way with David's jigs, just another crappie bait company. I'm gonna run and grab one of them off there real quick. these would be a really good one here. During the springtime, I used to make this color. It was awesome. I caught a ton of crappie on this. I'm going to show you guys what would be neat about using these jigs here. He makes them with a real long, flat tail. If them crappie are wanting a longer bait, I think I got both. Yeah, I got both styles here. This one here, you can actually split that tail to where you got a double tail, and you can make them whatever length you want them. If them crappie are short striking your baits, you can cut them down shorter, and you still got your double color. You can make these baits whatever length you want them real easy. And that's another thing I always liked about the slab busters. Like yesterday, I'd miss a couple fish, and I'd just bite off just a little bit off the back end of it, and I'd catch them. You can always change baits this style. You can always change your length of pretty easy. Some of them, like your stinger tails, they're just a small bait. You can't change it. You're stuck with what you buy. The swarm jigs, you can bite or cut off some of the back of it. You can make them different lengths too. Quite a few of them you can do that too. So whatever you guys got faith in. I know a lot of guys are using like the Bobby Garland style, the little stinger tail minnows right now. Them seem to be working really good. I've been hearing up on Truman, they're hitting a lot of pink stuff. I always use a pink head, so everything I used yesterday, everything I used the other day when I made that other video, I ran pink heads on. That's just a color I've always had really, really good luck on. Pink or orange. If I'm tight lining, I'll run some orange and chartreuse, but seems like wintertime when I'm slip cork fishing more, I run more pink. Just what works, I don't change. The other day when I made that slip corking video, I went 4 different places after I made that video, and I caught crappie in all 4 places. One place I actually ended up catching about a 6-pound largemouth, also under a cork about 3 foot deep. Kind of odd being that shallow this time of year, but that's where he was at. So I caught crappie all the way from 3 foot deep all the way down to 16, 17 foot deep. I ended up going down to the dead water down below the dam was the last spot I fished. I ended up catching a limit of crappie down there, no problem. I caught most of them 16 to 17 foot. They was a little bit deeper in there. The bigger crappie was. I caught some short crappie, shallower. I did catch 5 or 6 good white bass, real good white bass in there, about 14, 15 foot deep. Kind of seemed like where they was, and I went down just below them a little bit and started catching the crappie. It was a pretty finicky bite in there. They hit real light. I was having to throw as far as I could throw. But you just barely, I knew if I seen any white on my cork, I think I said on that video, I try to put split shot just where that cork, the white, and I try to set that water line right there with split shot. Like right now, yesterday I had to put 1 big split shot on and 2 real small split shot to get it set right. Set that water level right at that. And then you know if you see that come up and you see any white at all, you got to set the hook. That was the only way I could see them crappie as far as I was throwing the other day. I'm sure some of them pulled it down just a little bit. I missed, but I knew if I seen white, set the hook. The white bass, they'd hit it harder. They'd take it down and just sometimes sink it out of sight. But that's about all I got for you guys. Fishing's good. We got a couple real cold days here. I kind of look for the upper end of the lake to freeze up. Catfishing's getting real good up there. South of Clinton, Sparrowfoot area is good. Upper Osage is good. Even the main lake. There's not enough shad dying right now. Main lake's still pretty good bite in spots. I'll probably get up there and fish the main lake some this week just to do something different. I've been fishing them upper ends and doing pretty good. I fished Lake Ozarks this week to get out of the wind. Yesterday I couldn't get out of the wind anywhere. Everywhere there was catfish, it was too windy. We did catch 1 big one, some eaters. Day before we caught a bunch of eaters. Had a couple good slot fish, no overs. pretty good bite on Ozarks. There's a few shad dying down there I seen. Not very many though. Not enough to affect the bite. Got to use real small baits down there. Trimming, I've been running small baits, big baits, kind of bouncing back and forth. The small baits tend to get a better hookup right now. And when I say small baits, I'm talking small baits. Like half-inch chunks of shad, maybe half-inch, maybe not very big. Make sure you get one thing a lot of guys are messing up. I'm seeing they're missing a lot of fish, and we miss a lot of fish too. Have a lot of fish come off. But the biggest thing is this time of year, make sure you've got plenty of hook exposed. Like if you're running a circle hook like that, just barely hook that bait on. You're going to lose a few baits because of it, but you're going to have a lot better chance of hooking up. I've got to where my chunks of shad, I hook a lot of them through the belly, and I will just, hook that much of the bait through the belly. That way you've got that much hook exposed, and you got a lot better shot of hooking up when these fish are finicky and biting light. Some days they'll just hammer the rods. Yesterday, a few bites we had, that big fish hammered the rod. We had a couple other ones hammer it, and then a lot of the just smaller eater-sized fish, they just mess with it and mess with it and mess with it, and then finally hook up. Just switch what you're doing until it works. I tell people that every single day in the shop when they say they're not catching fish. Even the guides go out some days, know what they're going to do when they go out. They've got a plan in their head before they ever leave the house. And they might get out there and it's not gonna, it don't work some days, so they have to change around and do something different until they find out what works. It's not the same every day. Never will be. Springtime, it's pretty close to the same, but some days it isn't. So that's all I got to say, you guys. I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody watching my videos. Share them on Facebook. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. One other thing, I'm getting a ton of friend requests on Facebook. I'm not accepting any of them. I'm not being rude or nothing. I'm out of people I can accept on there. I don't want my page to go to a public profile or nothing like that. Or a public figure profile. So just follow my Facebook if you want to see what I post every day. Basically, I post my daily catches on there. I do post some more information on there. But the big stuff I'm trying to put on YouTube now. That way anybody can view it. That's really about all I got to say. So have a good one, y'all. I appreciate it, and thank you. Bye.